Hi guys, this is Jimmy from KS Group, and in this video I want to spend some time working with V-RayRT on GPUs so that you can see the performance, and also I want to tell you about some of the improvements that we made to it with the latest service pack for V-Ray. As you can see, I've already opened my scene, and in the scene I have this retro car, but the first thing I want to show you is here in the render settings. I will go to the RT tab, and you see that I'm using OpenCL, which means that I'm rendering on a GPU. And the new thing that we added here is the GPU texture size. This parameter allows me to resize all my textures and limit them to a certain resolution, so that in cases where I have huge resolution textures and I don't have that much of GPU RAM, I can limit the amount of RAM that I'm going to need for textures so that I do not run out of memory. Okay, so this is a simple thing, but it's going to be very useful. And now let's start the IPR and see the performance and what happens, basically. So it will take a couple of seconds for V-Ray to load all the textures, and in a second we'll start rendering. As you can see, I have this car, and this car has a car paint material, but in the past V-Ray had really had some difficulties when we had to create an optimized way of rendering complex materials like this one. Well, right now we have been able to deal with this issue, and actually this material is a very complex one. It's a V-Ray blend material that I can show you the graph of, and you'll see that we have a bunch of different materials and textures that create this final result. Now let's examine this material more closely, and for this I'm going to take a better point of view, which is a little bit more interesting as well. So the material is a V-Ray blend material, as you can see here, and it has three materials on top of each other. The last one, however, we're not seeing right now, and I'm going to talk about it later. The base material, if we examine, is just a simple V-Ray material that has this diffuse color, which is black, and then has a reflection color of blue. And we also have the glossiness set to 0.8. So this creates this metallic paint feel that, of course, we can adjust and change the color of very quickly. And to add the clear coat on top of it, we're using another V-Ray material, which is again a standard V-Ray material, which is completely black as a diffuse and then has a reflection color set to white. However, to blend the two materials, we use instead of just blending them and adding them on top of each other, we're using a V-Ray Fresnel texture. And the V-Ray Fresnel texture allows us to use the Fresnel curve to blend two materials together, or to blend two colors together, and use the index of refraction to control how much of which material we're seeing. So as I increase the index of refraction, you'll see that we're seeing more and more of the coat material, and if I decrease it, we'll be able to see more of the base material and less of the coat material. So this is a pretty cool thing, and what I'm trying to point out here is that V-Ray is actually able to render those blend materials very quickly on the GPU in a very optimized manner, so you can see the result immediately. And it can also work with procedural textures, so you can now use all those different procedural textures that you are not able to do so before, and create very complex materials. Now the last thing that we have is this final layer, which has the blend amount set to black. The reason I left it there is because it's going to be easier for me to show you what it does like this. So as you can see, it's a very simple material. It's not the material that is interesting, it's the way we use it. And let's go to another bookmark, which is more interesting for this purpose. So we have this dirt material, and what I have here is a texture that I'm going to use to blend the dirt material to add it on top of my car. So this is the texture that I'm using, and I'm just going to get it here and connect it to the blend amount 1. So right now, wherever the car is dirty, I'm going to see the dirt material in the white areas of the map, and wherever the map is black, I'm going to see the bottom material. So as you can see, with the latest service pack, we have completely improved the GPU, so V-RayRT on GPUs, so you can use it to create really complex materials and see their preview really quickly. So I'm going to pause the recording for now and open another scene. So we talked about shading, and now let's talk a little bit about the physical camera. I'm going to start V-RayRT and talk a little bit about the scene. As you can see, this is a standard setup for a product design image if you want to create something like this here. So what we have is we have the object, the product in the middle. We're using an HDR to illuminate the scene. We also have this multi-matte surface down here, which is able to generate those shadows here. And we also have an image plane attached to my camera. So right away we're able to create a very perfect image in a couple of seconds, and we're able to adjust it and pick the perfect camera position very quickly, as we immediately see the result of our rendering. However, uh, this is a very simple example. Let's make things a little bit more complex. I'm going to stop the RT for a second and switch to another camera and hit render again. I'm going to start the RT once again. So you'll see now that the image looks completely different, and this is because of the settings of the physical camera. So the first thing that you'll notice probably is the fact that this image is more orange. It's not as blue as the previous one, and the reason for this is that we're using some color here for the white balance. So using the white balance, I can completely change the feel of the image in a second, and I can immediately see the result and adjust the perfect color here for white balance. But something that's more difficult to adjust, and it really adds to the complexity of the scene and to the final feel of the image, is the fact that we have this very heavy depth of field effect that we can see here. And setting up things like depth of field is very hard because the depth of field depends on many settings, and the final image can look very differently based on those settings. So being able to do this in a couple of seconds is going to be very useful for you. And let's see how this happens. So I have enabled the depth of field here, and generally the amount of depth of field is going to depend on my F number here. So I can increase the depth of field and by decreasing the F number here, and this will, as you can see, immediately increase the brightness of my image. So if I want to decrease the brightness, I need to increase the shutter speed. So right now I'm able to interactively control the amount of depth of field along with the brightness of the image without having to go back and forth to rendering and so on. Another very important thing when setting up images with depth of field is the point at which the focus is going to be. So I can adjusting this is also a little bit tedious, but with the V-RayRT you can do this very quickly just by changing the focus distance while running the RT. You will be able to see that the point at which the image is being focused is moving very easy to see where it is and very easy to set up. So you can pick the perfect point and leave V-RayRT for a couple of seconds, and it's going to create a very high quality image. So as you can see, of course we started a lower quality, we see this noise here, but this noise is going to be cleared in a couple of minutes. So once again, using the RT for these purposes, like setting up things like depth of field, is going to be very valuable for you, saving you a lot of time when dealing with such cases. Okay, so I'm going to pause the recording once again and move on to the next scene. Okay, so I've opened my next scene, and the purpose of this scene is to showcase the performance of V-Ray. So I'm going to start it and tell you about the scene. What we try to do here is create an exterior scene, but we wanted to create the effect of a shot being taken just before dusk, just before sunset. So this of course is very difficult to do, and I'll tell you why. First of all, we have the setup where some of the light is coming from the skies, from the environment, but this light is not sufficient enough, and as it's getting dark we actually need to add those area lights, and this scene actually has many area lights, and we also have some of those area lights inside of the body of the water. So if I go inside, you'll see we have a bunch of area lights there, which is I don't need to tell you, this is very hard to render and takes a lot of time usually. However, V-Ray is able to do this, as you can see, pretty quickly, and we're able to see this instant feedback as I move my camera around. And let me tell you, rendering those area lights inside of the water is not something that any renderer can do, and it's a very difficult task. So as you can see, the performance is quite astonishing, and something else that I want to point out here is if I bring out the pixel information and show you the information for these pixels here, you'll see that the fault color is 5.8 something. So this means that V-RayRT, when running on GPU, is rendering the image in a 32-bit floating point format, which is very important because it will allow me to play and have much more control when dealing with color corrections later. And actually I'm doing just that inside of the frame buffer. So if I bring out the color corrections menu, you'll see that I have some exposure control here, some exposure correction, and I also applied some curve correction here. And let me disable those just to be able to see the difference. So this is the image that we are actually rendering, and because we have all this dynamic information about the color, we're able to create images like that. So of course right away it will start at a noisy image, but you'll see that in a couple of seconds we're able to create a very nice image, and if I leave it for a couple of more minutes, V-RayRT is going to create a perfect quality image. So this concludes this video. I hope that you'll find the new additions to the RT useful, and until next time, I'm Dimitri Krstev Jimmy, and I thank you for watching.